And welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, always, it's zinniawealth.com, Zinnia wealth.com. So 60 Minutes, we all know the show. And 10 years ago, they did a feature on 401ks. Remember Steve Croft? He interviewed Brooks Hamilton, and he was talking about 401ks. And he had actually some kind of shocking things to say about 401ks.
The fact is that the typical 401k investor is a financial novice. They don't know a stock from a bond. And we give them a list of 20 or 30 mutual funds with really, really powerful names. You know, they sound like, gee, that's where I want to have my money.
What are generally the quality of the mutual funds and 401k plans?
Mediocre. I'm going to be real honest with you. With half the funds on the list, really dogs, what people would characterize as dogs, shouldn't be on the list to start with.
Wow, that's not nice. I don't like to think that the choices that I have in my 401k are, quote, dogs.
Yeah.
But there are so many people that are still watching this show today, and it's 10 years old. So let me ask this question, Charisse. Do we have the same problem now with 401ks that we had 10 years ago? Do we still have a lot of poor choices in there?
Yes, 401ks, it's a small menu of funds to choose from. If you get 30, you're lucky. The average is 20, and you get a few mutual funds and you get a bunch of retirement target date funds. And again, the returns in the 401ks are mediocre. So for example, you have these big name companies, right? And you're like, oh, well, this is a big name company. They surely have to be really good at what they're doing. But let's just say it's a mutual fund. I won't pick a name, but it's an S&P 500 large cap fund. And at the end of your 12-month period from January 1st to December 31st, let's say that fund actually made 10%. You're like, yeah, that fund did great. Pat yourself on the back, right? You picked the right one. But then when you measure it up to the S&P 500, that's the benchmark to see how well, it's your measuring stick to see how well your mutual fund manager is doing. And the S&P does 20. Now you're starting to notice that, and you're probably not doing this, you're noticing that, oh, well, there's fees in this, there's hidden fees in this, there's fees I can see in it, and I'm only made 10 when the S&P did 20. Shouldn't this really big name be at least matching the benchmark? And historically, 72 to 82% of the time, based on Dalbar, if you ever Google it up, it says they fail to beat the benchmark 72 to 82% of the time.
Wow.
Right. So here's the deal. Whether you are a client of ours or not, if you are 50 and over and you have over $250,000 in a 401k, we do a 401k stress test. And it's to help you figure out, what is my 401k making? Did it beat the benchmark? What are all the other funds that I can choose from? Am I commingling too much? What are my fees, Charisse? This 401k X-ray is so important, especially if you're 50 and over, you're getting ready to retire, maybe in 5 years or 10 years. If we could show you some funds in that 401k that are lower, but we're seeing a higher rate of return and they're matching their benchmarks like the S&P 500, wouldn't you want to know? Because this last 10 years, if you're retiring in 10 years, is going to count the most. And if we can keep the fees down and find the one that has a potentially a higher rate of return, why wouldn't you do it? Right? So we're starting to groom these people getting ready to retire. We want to help you. We're the retirement educators here in Central Florida, and we want to get you prepped and ready. And I will tell you, if you come in and see us, I'm not trying to earn your business when it comes to this. I am giving back. When you retire, I hope to see you again, right? But we want to give back to the community. We want you guys to get set and ready. There's a lot of junk in these 401ks. And just because you saw the company on Squawk Box, you saw a big name, it doesn't mean it's the best fund you should be picking. So be prudent about your financial future. Be a wise steward of your choices. We do a free 401k X-ray just for you, okay? Remember, 50 and above, and you have to have $250,000 in that 401k for it to actually make sense. If you knew that you could lower your fees, if you knew maybe you could lower your risk, if you knew that maybe you could raise your rate of return just by some advice, would you move forward, would you implement that plan on your own while you're at the 401k company contributing every year with your employer? So think about that, because that is very, very important.
And we will do that analysis for you, a 401k analysis, if you give us a call or give us a look on our website and click that gold box, ZinniaWealth.com. Complimentary retirement consultation is what it says. Just click on that. We'll ask you to fill in a little information, and then our team will reach out to you, get a date on a calendar. Or you can call us right now, do the same thing at 833-368-3680. You know, Charisse, we talk about people when they get to be about 50 years old, 55 years old. This is when they start thinking about this stuff, because it's you can see it off in the future that somewhere along the line you're going to walk away and you're going to use that 401k. But
Yes.
there is a magic age here, and that's 59 and a half. Explain to me why that is key here with 401ks.
If you were to withdraw money before 59 and a half, and let's say you're retired, you say, I need to take money to live on, and it's in an IRA, guess what? You have a 10% penalty. So when you hit 59 and a half, there is no more penalty, right? But there are some other rules built in. If you're 55 and you had a certain job, et cetera, and you left some money behind in your 401k, you actually could live on those without a penalty. So there are some options, but it's a 10% penalty.
And as I said, after 59 and a half, you don't have to pay that penalty. But Charisse, you don't have to take all of your money out of a 401k if you're still working at 59 and a half. You want to get that match, but you can roll money from one retirement fund into another retirement fund, and there's no tax problems there, correct?
Do you mean from a 401k to an IRA,
Correct,
Randy?
yes.
Yes. So here's a nice thing. A lot of companies, I will say 99 out of 100% nowadays, if you're still working with them and working for them, they allow you to do an in-service distribution. Sometimes you can move the entire 401k out, you roll it to an IRA, there's no penalty, there's no taxes, and if you're still working and contributing, they'll still match. It's been very flexible, and I absolutely love that, but it's a good way to start getting ready and planning for retirement and finding an advisory team locally that's going to educate you and start implementing a plan slowly. Now, let's say you're under 59 and a half, and you have had 2 different jobs, maybe 3 different jobs, and you left those 401ks alone. Well, because you're not 59 and a half, and because you've left that company, you are allowed to roll those to IRAs without penalties. So the 59 and a half rule is gone if you've been fired, laid off, whatever it is. So don't leave those 401ks behind just doing whatever they're doing. Those are the ones we tend to see that have the higher fees, believe it or not. Roll them to an IRA. We'd be happy to help you, or your advisors you're working with. Everybody's happy to help you. And now start creating that plan that's going to make more sense, and maybe you can keep your costs down. And now you're going to have a menu, a huge menu. I mean, you have 20 to 30 options in a 401k. Now, if you bring it to an IRA outside the employers or ex-employers, you have 30,000 oysters. Pick the right advisor. Typically, when you're in a 401k and you get to talk to your 401k dude or gal, they're the stock jock. They said, keep your money in. Don't worry about it. There's no real plan. Just beware, because you might want to work with a fiduciary in the industry that focuses on retirement education. And Randy, you know Pinocchio, right? Pinocchio, what happened to his nose because he lied?
Grew.
He grew. So there's some actors out there that are saying they're fiduciaries, but they're not. So do you know if you have a real live stock jock? Or do you not know? Who are you working with? Who are you going to work with? So again, as you're moving 401ks around and trying to figure out all this, if you can move those out, make sure that you are very clear who you're working with and that they are working in your best interest.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Coffee Talk podcast. If you have questions or would like to begin the process of building a tailored retirement plan, call Zinnia Wealth at 803-368-3680 or find us online at ZinniaWealth.com.
Charisse Rivers is an investment advisor representative of Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Charisse Rivers is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration Corporation, or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any client experiences discussed during this show are unique to that client. They are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Charisse Rivers, NPN Insurance License Number 8718011.